Thank you to Blue Couch Studio for helping produce this content and providing the space to make this podcast happen. If you're interested in doing any music recording or podcasting yourself, Blue Couch can take your music idea or podcast from brainstorm to broadcast. Studio Records Broken Arrow, the first record store where you can buy, sell, or trade new and used vinyl, located in the heart of BA's downtown Rose District at 111 East Commercial. The original Studio Records in Tulsa offers the largest variety of new and used vinyl in the area. You can buy, sell, or trade new and used vinyl in Tulsa's Pearl District, located at 409 South Trenton. All right, everybody, welcome to the Tulsa Tempo podcast. You can find us on all streaming sites and social medias, or all of our socials. We are coming to you live today. This is our first mobile podcast. We are remote. We're coming to you live from Studio Records in Broken Arrow, and we're with the band, and then there were two. So thank you guys for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, awesome. So maybe we could start with you guys introduce yourself, say your names, talk about your band a little bit, just help us get to know you.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Amy, Amy Lee and Austin Hayworth. We started working together almost 9 years ago. We had both been in bands and things, and got together one evening and decided that the duo thing, the acoustic duo thing, would be kind of nice to do for a while. So,
yeah, that's kind of, we met through a mutual friend, and for the first solid year that we played music together, you know, everybody was asking, "Hey, are y'all dating or something?" You know, no. We don't. We're friends only. The music is what's important. You know, of course, we spent every day together, so you know, eventually.
All right, so that was gonna be one of my first questions. Maybe the cat's already out of the bag. So are you guys a couple?
We are.
Okay, so the first year, not a couple.
First year, not a couple.
Now you're married?
Not
on paper.
Officially.
Wait a minute, are you proposing live today?
No, it's not.
It's a Broken Arrow.
Certainly not.
I saw him with something in his pocket that was shiny. I'm not sure.
No, I doubt it.
All right, sorry, man. Austin, I get killed on break. Please look at Austin. He may be the murderer.
No. He's been asking me for a while. I'm the holdout.
Oh, he's been asking you?
I'm the holdout. Yeah.
So I think he is going to propose live today. Amy, are you going to say yes this time?
No.
Oh gosh. All right. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
So you guys met 9 years ago, and it took you a year to admit you were a couple?
That's
a year to become a couple.
There's a bit of a story here. So I had gotten out of we had both recently gotten out of long-term relationships, and then I had a rebound, and the rebound kicked me to the curb too. So I was kind of sad. And a girlfriend of mine said, "Well, let's do a girls' night out." So we did, and we wound up over at the Mercury Lounge, and she gets off the phone and she's like, "Hey, I invited my friend Austin. You'll really like him. He's a musician. Now, he's not looking for anything, and I know you're not either at this point. So, but I think you guys will really get along." So he shows up, and of course, we spent the rest of the evening talking about music and stuff, and kind of ignoring everybody else. We moved on down to a little place on the river. It was Elwood's at the time, and we were hanging out there. And whoever was playing started playing "Here Comes the Sun." And Austin and I both started singing along with this dude. And we both picked a different harmony around what he was singing. And we finished, "Here comes," and we looked at each other like, "Dude, what was that? What was that?" So Austin wound up going home and getting his guitar, and we went back to my friend's house, and he was playing some of the songs that he had written, and I was super, super impressed. And I thought he was cute. He looked kind of homeless. He really needed a cleanup, long hair and scraggly beard and all. But so anyway, a couple of weeks later, I invited him over to hang out, and he brought his guitar, and he walks in my door, and first thing he says is, "Let's write a song." And I'm looking at him like, Okay, sh- all right, let's go. And so we did, and we never left each other's side again. It was just kind of weird.
So that was the first night 9 years ago. You guys
Yeah.
met just kind of out, and then the Beatles. It was a Beatles song. It was
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
so the Beatles brought you together. That's how I'm going to remember this. So you guys started singing, and then the next time you hung out, literally you brought a guitar and you're like, "Let's record a song."
Let's write a song.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
And,
write a song.
and we
Right.
wrote a song together.
So I'm gonna look this way for a little bit. I mean, so Austin, uh, did you guys write a song that night? And if so, what
We
was it?
did.
Tell me about it.
We called it "Reaching for the Light," and it was just kind of a song about, you know.
It was about your
Shit.
back and forth former relationship. Is
Oh,
what
come
it was
on.
about.
Well, I think we drew inspiration from kind of the experiences that we had just went through in both of our lives. So, yeah, we still play it to this day.
Okay, great. I was gonna ask that. So, so you guys created a staple that night,
Yes.
and then what happened next? Tell me how your band evolved from that night to today.
He came over every single night from there on, and we just kept writing songs and kept writing songs, and eventually we had, I think, when we had like 3-4 songs, we started going around to every open mic in
Yeah,
town.
I had hosted a bunch of open mics when in my little bit younger years, so I knew where they were all at. So let's go out and try out these songs. you
Yeah,
know?
and open mics, for anybody interested, are a really, really great way to get to know your local music scene. Go around to all of them. You get to know the other musicians. They get to see your face and hear your music. It's the best way to break into a new scene somewhere.
See a little bit of all the different circles and the different genres, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, did you guys have a band name during this open mic period?
We did. Austin came up with it pretty quick, actually. Yeah.
yeah, because we had both been doing so many musical things with different groups and bands, and then there were two, so it just kind of came to me one day, and I proposed it, and she said yes to that.
So, unlike the theme we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
So, the first time you guys called yourself a band, you called yourself, and then there were two.
And then there were two.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So, what's next? What's after open mic nights?
After open mic nights came playing in between the drag queens at one of the local drag bars, the Bamboo Lounge, and it doesn't exist anymore. But I had already, before Austin, I was deep into theater, and I hung out in the drag bars as well with my theater friends. So we had an inn over there, and so we started playing in between the drag queens while they were changing, or in between the show breaks, because often drag shows, you'll have 2 shows in one evening, an early and a late. So
We just play a few songs in between their sets, and it was some of the best times I've had. I mean, great
Yeah.
crowd to play for.
That's awesome. Well, I just wanted to make sure we got, we're doing a live feed today. We're coming to you from Studio Records in Broken Arrow. This is the Tulsa Tempo podcast. Some people might be listening to us on Marshall Rock Internet Radio. Jamie is kind enough to stream our podcast on Sunday nights at 7. And I've heard some rumors that we have an international audience. So shout out if you're listening to us from Belgium.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm glad you guys are here with us, and this is the band, and then there were two. So
Hey,
yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us. So we established that you guys started at the open mic nights, and then the next level up was drag show.
was
so
the
so
drag
what's
shows.
that third tier? How do you get from drag show to where you guys are now? Help me.
Well, what came next? Did Gypsy Cafe?
yeah. We started
We just,
applying for the festivals around.
we went and watched. There's a music festival every year, Bob Childers Gypsy Cafe, and it happens in Stillwater.
Mhm.
And it's a big gathering of red dirt and Americana and folk musicians from our area, and it's an amazing gathering with amazing talent. So we went to that. And we knew a couple of people around there, but we just started showing our faces at some of those events. We went to, I think really things started to shift when we went to the Woody Guthrie Folk Festival.
What year was the Woody Guthrie Folk Festival?
Let's see.
For 9 years ago to start, that'd be what? 2013, 2014. Or it's early in the new year, so.
Yeah, again, if it's fun.
Or maybe this way. Was this a year from
2016?
open mic?
2016?
It was probably a year from open mic and drag show. Yeah, so
open
2016
mic, drag show, a year later, Red Dirt.
somewhere in there. Yeah. So we went to the Woody Guthrie Folk Festival, and there's it's same kind of thing. You know, you've got a bunch of venues, and it's a lot of the same musicians, and then people actually come over from all over the world for that one. But one of the venues
Had an open mic.
They had an opening in their open mic, and
it's part of the
open
festival?
mic. Yes.
Okay.
And this open mic was a big deal, and it's where everybody. It was kind of the hub for the rest of the festival, so it was kind of a big deal to be able to get yourself a spot at that point. And somebody came running down to the campgrounds, our friend Conch Hampton, and grabbed us and like, there's a hole in the open mic. There's an opening. I told them that you guys were going to do it. You've got to come do it now. So we did. And
we found a family there.
We found a family there. Yeah.
And they just accepted us with open arms and said, you're part of the Okima family of musicians now.
Right.
Musician friends.
Friends, and that bit of networking led to being able to, you know, come back to Tulsa and really start getting gigs. You know, that and a lot of social media promotion, which I'm terrible at. Terrible.
She's not that bad.
Well, you're here on a live podcast now, right? We're streaming on social media.
We are. I'm not doing the work.
Right. I'm not active on social media, but apparently I am today because it's being streamed live.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next? You guys, you found your family, or you found a musical community. You're back to Tulsa. Yeah. What's next?
Oh, we just gigged and played and gigged and acquired a box drummer.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, our good friends.
Did you say a box drummer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you set up like cardboard boxes?
No. He actually played. Okay, you've heard of
the thing where you sit on it?
djembes. So this is more like a.
It's a cajon.
Cajon, yeah.
It's a cajon.
It's more like a box that you sit on and you hit with your palms, right? Well, he had a trejon, which is a 3 kind of sound giving box that had that he sat on and played with the light drumsticks.
So a 1-person rhythm section.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Basically.
And what was the name of the band now? Did you still?
And then there were 2.
But there was a 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now.
Wait, is this a?
It is a running gag.
It's a running joke.
Absolutely a running gag.
All right.
Yeah.
Tell me
now sometimes we play with up to 7 people on stage.
I think 7 has been the max that we have had since we started working with a full band, which is further on down the chain of stories. Right. But yeah. But yeah, now anywhere from just the 2 of us up to 7 people. So it's become the running joke and then there were 2, all 1, 2, 3, and I'll turn around and count how many people we have on stage. 5 of us. Thank you.
We don't math good.
We don't math good.
So you guys are going to actually play a live song later on, right?
Are we? We are?
Yeah. So we're upstairs above the record store, and I'm sure there's dozens of people downstairs. So if we can get all of them up here, and there's like 30 people, it'll still be, and then there were 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got you.
If I put a triangle, tambourine, and click 'em sticks in every single person's hand, it would still be in.
And then there were 2. All right.
And then there were 2 orchestra.
Because if the apocalypse happens and we're the only 2 people left on Earth, we're
you won't get married, but you'll try to populate the Earth. Is that what you're saying?
We're getting there.
All right. So we'll digress from that. How about there's a box player now. There's a 3rd person. Did that person stick around for a while?
For quite a while, and he's still a good friend, and he's moved on to some other musical ventures of his own with some interesting, actually, some
Some experimental
kind of
all
music.
kinds of
With he's using a real big drum
auxiliary
thing now,
percussion,
auxiliary
yeah.
percussion
Got
thing.
triangle to go with his.
I have
Yeah,
no idea.
all
But
kinds of fun stuff with little pads, you know, that
Electronic stuff.
yeah. So yeah, we support him in his venture.
Yeah, I might be going too slow trying to get you to help say your story. You said that all the way up to 7. There were 7 people on stage. So help me get there. So you have 3 people, and then what happens next? Like, do you stay with those 3 with the rhythm section for a while?
Quite a few
We
years,
did,
yeah.
up until
Pandemic, I think, wasn't it?
about, everything timelines get so wibbly wobbly around the pandemic. But somewhere before or after all that,
After the before times, but
After-
before the
Yeah, after time.
now times.
we did part ways. Austin and I were getting to a point that we wanted a full band. We're changing as people, and the music is changing and evolving, and we kind of wanted to get back to that full band sound. And so we started adding people. Yeah.
The
I,
way the scene is in Tulsa too, like presently, is a lot of the people are friends, and so a lot of the people kind of rotate around through different bands.
nobody has their own set band.
That's the same band every time you play. It's
Okay.
it's kind of a running circle, and they kind of rotate in and rotate out.
Right. So like our drummer, Zach Annette, also is playing drums regularly with Cassie Latshaw, and he's got another group that he plays with semi regularly. So if you're an instrumentalist, if you're guitar player, drummer, bass player, you can pretty much hire yourself out to any band.
Yeah, so
in
our
town
bass
right now.
player plays for Crash DeVille, and
He plays with us. He was
a couple others
playing
too.
with Chelsea Hill for a little bit.
Scott Craig was
Yeah.
his name.
That sounds
Great
really
bass
cool
player.
how it's all rotating, but like, is it a logistical nightmare? I mean, if you have
Can
It
be.
can be.
You need to
It
have
can
2 of
be.
everything
Yeah.
on hand. Yeah.
Most of those musicians are talented enough that they don't need a whole lot of rehearsal, but I do. And so sometimes it's hard to get everybody on the same page when I can't find the page. You know what I mean?
So during the pandemic, did you guys like record anything? Were you playing small shows? Were you broadcasting live?
No.
No, there
Absolutely.
was 2 camps
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
pandemic,
Tell me
and
about
one
that.
camp embraced their music and they worked on new songs and they podcasted or they YouTubed or Facebook and stayed relevant. And the other camp sat on the couch and stared into the abyss like a deer in
That
headlights.
sounds like what I did during the pandemic.
We were in the abyss.
I was in the
And
abyss.
that's kind of when
right
our
before we
writer's
started recording.
block really set in. Like we tried a few times during that. I didn't ever quit working either. I'm an electrician by trade, so I was working in houses by myself most of the time, so I never lost a day. But we were still trying to at least, I don't know, pretend like we were into wanting to go with the music, So we tried and just hit a wall with writer's block for a long time.
When you said that there were the 2 camps, which camp were you in?
The couch,
The couch camp?
staring,
Staring
not
into
knowing
the
what to
abyss.
Hey man,
Yeah.
hey.
Right.
What about you, Amy? Which camp were you in?
Yeah. I was
The
right there
abyss?
next to him
Yeah.
on the couch going, the world's falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was hard to be creative while you're in the abyss.
It was. It was. Yeah. The upheaval and my neurodivergence didn't handle it well.
So now that are we on the other side of the abyss?
I think we're on the other side of the abyss now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you started recording or writing again? Like,
We've
did you
been-
channel that abyss? into
We've
your
been
music?
writing, and it's taken a while to get the wheels greased again after they froze up. And we got to a point we started gigging again, and things were going fairly well, and we were getting booked, and then it kind of started to drop off, and we knew that it was because our music was stale. It was all our pre-pandemic music. We didn't have anything new. We were bored with it, and it showed. I think
It quit being fun.
it quit being fun. But we were also, emotionally and mentally constipated at that point. So, it got to a turning point, and we had one gig booked for the new year, and we had 2 months. And I just looked at Austin and I said, "We're gonna write an entirely new show in 2 months."
Which year? What do you said?
Like
This New Year.
last
Year.
weekend. Like
Okay. I'm sorry.
We had the show last weekend.
When you said about the constipation, I drifted off. I like that. But okay, so you had a gig coming up for this new year.
Yes.
And you said we're gonna write a whole new show.
We're gonna write a whole new show. Now, mind you, this show it's 3 sets, so it was a 3-hour night. So
Wow.
I was like, we're gonna write a whole new show. And that included some covers. So
That's still ambitious.
terribly, horribly, ridiculously, ludicrously ambitious. And I knew that too, and that's fine.
That was part of the whole devious plan was, you have an ambitious goal, and then what you end up producing, it's still,
yeah.
we got
light a fire. Like
we got like 4 new
this is a
ones
deadline. This is happening. We have to be ready.
Yes. We had to have the deadline, and something about that. We just started sitting down at the dining room table every single night, and really, trying to drag whatever we could out of our brains. And things started moving. We started getting somewhere. We got some things we liked. We got some things we didn't like. We got some things that we might like later after we reworked them. It was really productive, and it was really, really good for us. I'm sorry. So we have this show. So we write and get everything ready, and we give ourselves about 2 weeks with the new songs to get the band up to speed.
and ourselves.
And the entire band got sick.
Everybody started dropping like flies.
I mean, so we lost one of those weeks to rehearsals with the entire band being sick. So we've got one more week till this show. The band still hasn't played through any of the songs. I managed to record them with my upper respiratory, infection, sad voice. Oh God, they were awful, and send them off so they'll at least have something to listen to. And so we've got one more week till the show, and we set up a rehearsal. So it's all good, right? Everybody, yeah, cool. So the bass player pulls up, and he's rolling in. Drummer rolls up. He's unpacking his drums, and the fiddle player messages, well, Gary lives on Reservoir Hill, so he has a perpendicular driveway, and this is just after all of the ice and stuff. His truck wouldn't start. His truck was down on the curb, and he was too afraid to back his car out of his perpendicular driveway, so no fiddle player. So we're about to start playing through one of the new songs, and the drummer gets a call from his roommate, and their pipes are freezing up. So the drummer bails and leaves his drums in the practice room and goes to unthaw his pipes. So then we're sitting there with the bass player. So same thing kind of happened at our next rehearsal. So by the time we got on stage Saturday night, the band had not run through any of the songs at all together.
I kind of chartered them out for the guys so they'd at least have something to reference. But but then later I found out that I'd chartered a couple of them wrongly.
So we gave the bass player and the fiddle player the wrong chord for the
chord
show.
progression.
And
the bridge
poor
or whatever,
drummer, the drummer showed up late because he had gotten food poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
But he showed up and he played
the whole night, just
white
white
as
as
a
a
sheet.
sheet.
Right.
Just-
Sounds like the plague sort of hit your band.
It was nuts, man. The
Right.
whole thing was nuts, and all you could do was laugh and get up there and do your best to have a really good time.
And that was last Saturday.
Last Saturday.
That was last Saturday.
Oh my gosh, guys. All right, so if you're just now tuning in, this is the Tulsa Tempo podcast. We're here with, and then there were 2 coming to you live from Studio Records in downtown Broken Arrow. Thank you if you're listening to us on Marshall Rock Internet Radio. We're actually going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get into this concert. We'll get over the plague. I want to know how the concert did, and we're going to get deep into a song, okay?
Okay.
Or at least a couple songs.
Fabulous.
So we'll see you guys after the break.
Sounds great.
Here's where you're repeat myself, but
Yeah.
if you're just tuning in.
Yeah. Maybe that's where I'll address it right now. You guys ready? All right. For those of you watching live right now, thank you for bearing with us while we took a break. For you all that might be listening to us on streaming on Marshall Rock Internet Radio Station or on YouTube, hopefully this looks pretty seamless. But we're the Tulsa Tempo Podcast. You can find us on all the streaming sites and socials. We are live from Studio Records Broken Arrow. So if you guys are watching the live stream right now, the band's going to be playing at 4 o'clock downstairs. So get down here and check them out. And if you're on Marshall Rock Internet Radio, I'm glad you're listening to us and the band. And then there were two. So when we took a break, you were kind of in the middle of, well, I guess maybe we're teeing off this section about the songs, right? So pandemic is over. You gave yourself 2 weeks or something like that to get ready for a show. And this is what I want to know now. I've been waiting during break. I try not to ask you guys during break so that the audience can hear the answer. But how did the show go? How are the new songs? What are you going to play here today? Tell us about it.
Well, everything was perfect.
It was without a hitch.
I'm just kidding.
Now that show was a hot mess. It was.
All right, tell me about it. Spill the tea.
Well, the poor drummer is sitting back there with food poisoning, and just barely hanging on. I'd look in to check on him occasionally, and he's just, eyes barely open, and
He sounded great.
I think he
played better than any of the rest of us.
Yeah, he played better than the rest of the band, and he was the only one that didn't at least get run through them once. So, but sadly, the bass player and the fiddle player, a couple of the songs.
I gave him the wrong charts for, so.
So they were back there playing the wrong chords. And so that was fun.
At least they're not.
My
they're
fault.
live, just playing the wrong chords.
Yep.
My
Okay,
fault.
all right.
Yeah, we
It
were
could
all
be
playing
worse.
together, just not the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So
The thing is, mid-song, they knew they were wrong. They could tell because they're that good of musicians. And so
They course corrected.
they course corrected.
But,
Still, it was, man. Sorry, guys.
It was thankfully I had honestly expected a really big turnout, and it wasn't, and I was okay with that. The room was full of our really good friends, and so I couldn't have had a better audience because my voice, I sounded like a hungover Janis Joplin, and not in a good way, not in a good way at all. I was really struggling. So, and as a band, we hadn't played any of our older music together in a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and everybody was coming off being sick. So yeah, we got up there and we did that. I cut it off after 2 sets because I didn't want the drummer to die.
right.
So
I'm sure he appreciates it. He appreciates
we did 2 good solid sets. People got to hear the new songs as raw as they are.
Right.
And so yeah, it was a good night though.
So Austin, did you like playing those old songs? Amy, you just said you're kind of like a little rusty. It's been a while since you played them. Did you like the newer songs, like debuting? Like
I always love debuting new songs. Even if I'm a little nervous that I might be underprepared to actually play them. But I mean, you feel that way kind of for a while with a new song. But totally excited, and we did the best we could with
Under the circumstances.
and
Our little music stand with our little cheat sheet on there, and
So sometimes when we go on break, so does my brain. So help me remember. Did you say that was just this last Saturday?
Yeah.
that was just
'Cause
this
I
last
wanted to
Saturday.
say, well, have you played since then? I guess you can. Have you guys played since Saturday?
Nah.
Okay. Okay. You're gonna so whenever you go downstairs in a little bit, you play live at 4 o'clock. This will be the next time since you played last Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So do you guys know? Do you have a set list?
Oh,
Do
always.
you guys know what
Always.
you're gonna play?
I'm kind of a stickler about a set list. I don't get people who can get up there without a set list because my brain just goes whoop blank. And so does his, and we'll stand each other there and look at each other like, well, what do you want to play?
What do you
I don't
want?
know. What do you want to play? So
Right.
yeah, we gotta have lists.
Okay. So this is a good time for me to ask. So so you guys are gonna play a couple songs here for the podcast. Like
Yes.
we're gonna record them. Well, I'm not gonna record them. The professionals that you can't see behind the scenes are gonna be recording them. But are you, and I say songs, are you guys gonna do one song or two songs up here before you go downstairs for the in-store? Do you guys know yet?
We can
2 songs. I
Yeah, we can do
guess.
two.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are gonna do two songs. And so for those of you that are watching the live stream right now, you won't see those songs, but please come down and see them live. I mean, you have the opportunity to come to downtown Broken Arrow to Studio Records, and at 4 o'clock you can actually watch them play live. But for those of you that might be watching or listening on Marshall Rock internet station, or maybe you are following us on one of our streaming sites, you will be able to hear it at the like not live, but we're gonna cut it in and you'll be able to check it out. There will be no gap or anything like that. So let's get into it right now. So you guys are gonna be playing two songs. Tell me the names of the songs. Tell me about the songs. This is the part where we want to dig deep and learn a little bit about it before the audience hears it.
Okay.
So,
Here's them, and you're doing two.
so we got Nose of the Grindstone and
Growing Up and Growing Old.
Growing Up.
Did you-
and Growing Old.
Now, is this a set list, or did you guys just now decide it?
No, these are.
I
What's
wanted
the
it to
set
look
list?
like we just now decided.
Oh, you did a good job. You fooled me. I thought you were communicating like telepathically, like, or maybe what you guys decided is you could each pick a song because you went first, and then
Yeah,
she had a
I wanted
slight
it to
delay.
seem that way for sure.
Okay. Well, you did a good
I
job.
wondered why you were just staring at me. I'm like, he knows.
Austin's doing a bit, Amy.
Sorry.
It's not as good if you're in on it.
I'm
He's gonna
sorry.
fool us. Good job, Austin. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, so you guys are playing two songs. You picked. It sounded like you picked the first one. So Austin, do you want to lead off about the first song? What was the name? What was the inspiration?
I said Nose of the Grindstone
That's-
first, and it's one of my favorite new songs that we've
New
come
one?
up with. But she really wrote that song. That's
Oh, so I should
that's
ask her a little
Amy's
bit about it?
baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's a warm handoff, Austin. Thank you. Amy, tell me about Nose to the Grindstone.
Well, it was one of those that you get lucky and it just kind of comes. The hook anyway, which is Nose to the Grindstone. We had been working so hard, and not just working hard on trying to get these new songs written, but Austin's an electrician, and we've been doing a lot of weekend work. And so we've just kind of worked 7 days a week on either
Everything.
Yeah, electrician stuff, music stuff. I'm a part-time hairdresser. We've been busy. And you get deep into the song, the song lyrics itself. It's there's a verse talking about not wasting your time, and talking about there's trying to climb your way to the top. For us, the last couple of months of working that hard and not taking any time to rest, because we're working on a renaissance here, man, and renaissance ain't easy. Financially, Mama's got things she wants, and musically, we've both got things we want, and
So we've had our noses to the grindstone,
literally.
very literally,
Yeah.
literally.
for quite a while now. And she was sat down one day while I was at work, and I'm gonna write a song, and it just kind of out on the paper,
Yeah.
and there it was.
That probably felt pretty good after the writer's block.
Oh,
right? I mean,
it felt amazing.
Yeah.
It really, really, really did. And we're trying to infuse some different things into our music. Me especially, I've been wanting to go a little bit different direction. Austin's influences and my influences and his experience in music and mine are completely different. And what we've been doing the last several years really falls more into Austin's wheelhouse, and not mine. And so I'm trying to, make a 2-car wheelhouse here, I guess, and bring a little more of me into some of this music.
does it make you feel uncomfortable to be in his world, or is it like challenging? It's motivating.
Not uncomfortable. Now I've joked with people for years. If you had told me this was the kind of music I was going to be doing, I would have, kind of laughed at you and brushed it off. But we do a lot of really tight harmonies, and that's kind of been our defining characteristic is our constant tight harmonies. That is something that has always been a thing for me. So in that respect, it was a
But she's had a lot of-
really good fit.
She's had a lot of influence on my style of music too, which I was raised by a hippie, and she listened to everything from old country to new rock to classic rock to all of it. So
Not that Amy left anything out, but about the nose, the new song, the nose to the grindstone. What what do our listeners need to know about that song? I mean, they're going to hear it here in a minute. If you guys are coming down to the live show, you can listen to it live downstairs at 4. But what do you want to let them know about?
if you want things, you got to work for them, and sometimes you got to work hard, and sometimes it's not fun, but you just put your nose to the grindstone and get it done.
Yeah. All right.
That
Great.
sums it up.
So, Amy, you mentioned the second song you were going to play. What was the name of that one again?
That's the one Austin wrote. It's called "Growing Up in."
It's so tricky.
Austin came up with the basis for that
So
one.
you're going to basically tell me, and now I need to ask Austin about it.
It's his turn, yeah.
Okay, Austin, what's the name of the song? I know Amy just said it, but let's try again. What's the name
Growing
of the song?
up and growing old.
Growing Up and Growing Old. Tell me about it.
So I was trying to break through my writer's block too. You know, we were doing that together each night. And so I'd come up with this first little verse and a melody. And it just kind of sat there for the next couple of weeks or so and didn't really go anywhere until we kind of stumbled across it and decided to work it up into a song. And it's kind of, we almost had a different perspective when we were writing it, because we did end up both inputting a lot of the song, but her perspective was like being a person in between growing up and being old, and in that funny limbo stage where you're, you know, your 40s and early, you know, 40s to 50s, I guess.
About 45 to 55. I'll be 52 in March, and it's weird. It's really weird. I don't get it. I'm not.
You look good.
I mean,
And I'm
you know,
44, I'm a
AARP
baby.
is sending me things, and
Real?
and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
You're not a retired person. You're working. You're slaving. You got your nose on the grind.
Right. I don't feel old, but you know, a woman over 50 is often viewed a certain way, and I'm not having that.
So my perspective, you know, her perspective was that, and kind of a picture of that window or whatever. My perspective was more the difference one's mentality about their surrounding world is in growing up, and once you've kind of experienced life and some things, you look back at it and you're like, yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Got the T-shirt. You know, you try to teach the younger ones, but they have to learn the hard way, just like we did.
Right. Well, yeah. And I mean, sometimes those young people, of course, they don't want to hear it, right?
I didn't.
know.
They've got it figured out.
I thought my parents were dumb.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, they didn't know nothing.
Yeah. That's true. So, you guys did the switcheroo on me, so I'm gonna make sure I get back. So, Austin, did you write the lyrics to this one?
Most of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that why you said it's his song?
Yeah, and I mean,
It was kind of my baby.
Yeah.
yeah, we collaborate on everything. I mean, you know, we're sitting there and we're passing the notebook and the pencil back and forth. It's like, I got nothing.
Okay,
for
your
this.
turn.
What have you got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is very much a collaborative effort, but sometimes, you know,
The direction of the song, or the main idea of the song, or the hook of the song is one or the other.
Right.
You guys were referring to this is your song, or this is your
and
baby.
we
This is
don't
my
really,
baby. Okay.
we don't so much keep ownership. Like, no, that one's mine, that one's yours. It's more tongue in cheek because you know, the nose to the grindstone. He put in a lot of input on the lyrics and things, and
Some of the
so,
chord progression.
yeah. So it's always collaborative, and the "it's mine" is very tongue in cheek and just basically means, well, this concept for this one was mine, or I directed this
Sure.
most. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to remind everybody this is the Tulsa Tempo podcast. You can find us on all streaming sites and socials. We are live from Studio Records Broken Arrow. I am excited to hear these two songs, and I hope you guys that are watching live can come down here and listen at 4 o'clock. For those that you might be listening on Marshall Rock Internet Radio, you're going to actually hear it here in just a second. This is I haven't shouted you guys out nearly enough. You guys are the name of this band is And Then There Were Two. And so help me though. This is we're literally like digging in deep. We're wanting people to know more about the songs. What have I failed to ask? What do our listeners? We got people in Belgium on internet radio. What do the people in Belgium need to hear? Because they're about to hear it. They're going to hear it right when we get done here. So they don't have to come to downtown Broken Arrow, but if you're watching, you need to come to downtown Broken Arrow. So both of you, I'm going to give you both a chance to please answer my question and please help us. What have I failed to ask you? What do the fans need to know?
Well,
Ladies first.
I hope I'm the talker.
You could go last two. You can go three.
She's
I
the boss, man.
these songs are really, really fresh and haven't had a lot of polish put on them. So these are new songs kind of in their raw form. Songs tend to evolve as you go along.
Mhm.
So these are like infant songs. And I hope that the people who are listening, if you like these, definitely follow along and see how they change and evolve. We'll take these into the studio here in a couple of months and get some nice recordings of them. And I'm sure they'll be very different, especially with a full band.
Right.
So
No, so speaking of the audience that's listening live right now, or if you're listening to us streaming later, how can they find those songs? Do you guys have a Facebook or
Yeah.
Instagram? Are you guys on Spotify?
I do Facebook and Instagram. Once we've got recordings, I might put them up on Spotify. Musicians don't, care for Spotify so much. They will be available on Apple Music. And I don't really know yet. I'll have to figure that out.
Everywhere we can get them out, though.
Anywhere we can get
So
them
I'm
out. They will
gonna-
definitely be on Facebook and Instagram, and there will be links to wherever they wind up there.
I'm going to ask Austin the same question here, and then Amy, we'll let you close it right before break. And when I come back to you, if you can shout out like the names of the socials or where people can actually find you, I want to make sure we're doing a shout out so that our listeners can actually follow along with you guys.
Okay.
But Austin, what have I forgot to
I don't
ask
think
the
you-
listeners need to know?
Failed at asking anything.
Okay, maybe
I was
didn't fail.
really honestly putting a great mental effort towards trying to figure out, well, what did he fail at asking?
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and it doesn't have to be failure. What I'm thinking of is those listeners in Belgium. I mean, we've got international listeners that might not have even known anything about your band, and they're about to hear your songs for the first time, and they're gonna love it. They're gonna want to know more about it. They want to know the history. There's something you want.
We've always called it Oklahoma feel good music.
See, that's
Because
awesome.
we've always been kind of hard to put into a specific genre box because we were both raised on all kinds of different music and we both bring so many different inspirations to the table. So we're kind of under that Americana, a little red dirt, a little not,
Yeah.
A little jazz, a little
little
blues,
jazz,
a little soul, a little Broadway. That's my fault.
So we just started calling it Oklahoma feel good music, and we hope everybody enjoys it.
So and there were two plays Oklahoma feel good music.
And that's an actual
Oh.
hashtag that you can go and look up, and there will be all kinds of stuff. I've been using it for years when I remember, because I'm not great at that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
No, so this is a great segue. What shout out? So hashtag Oklahoma feel good music. Where can people find you?
On Instagram and Facebook.
And then there were two.
I think the
We have YouTube-
Instagram
YouTube
handle
stuff
is
too.
ATTWT. I don't know, dude. I've told you I'm terrible at this stuff. I barely manage the Instagram and the Facebook.
We may or may not
But
add it in post.
I have just-
hopefully our producer and our engineers can actually like put it in right
Yeah,
now.
let the kids do this, man. I'm out.
Yeah, we have a talented crew behind the scenes, and Amy, I hope they can help you out because our listeners need to follow you. They need to find out where you are.
Please help the old lady, please.
All right, anything else before break? All right. Well, I want to thank you all again for tuning in. If you are listening live, we'll be back like last time. If you are listening to Marshall Rock Internet Radio, and thanks again, Jamie, for playing this live on Sunday. If you guys are listening to it on YouTube, if you're listening to it on our streaming sites, if you are on Spotify, you're going to hear the songs now.
Action. Come in. Sitting around and dreaming all day. Won't make it come my way. I'm moving up and making a plan. Show you who I really am. I'm gonna step it up, baby. Get some dirt on my hands. I'm rolling up my sleeves and I'm hitting the ground. I put my nose to the grindstone. I put my nose to the grindstone. I got that hustle and drive. I got a ladder to climb. I put my nose to the grindstone. Nothing in this life comes so free. I still get what I need. It takes more than a little desire. Get up and light that fire. I know that love and money is bad for you. It ain't about the cash, it's all the things it can do. So put your nose to the grindstone. I got my nose to the grindstone. I got that hustle and drive. I gotta make that dime. I put my nose to the grindstone. I put my nose to the grindstone. I put my nose to the grindstone. I got that hustle and drive. I can't be wasting time. I put my nose to the grindstone. All right.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to welcome everybody back to the Tulsa Tempo podcast with the band, and then there were two.
Hey.
Yeah. So for those of you that are listening on Marshall Rock Internet Radio, or maybe on one of our streaming sites, you just now heard two awesome songs from this awesome band. For those of you that are maybe watching on the live stream right now, after this, please come out. You see the band live. They'll be playing right downstairs at 4:00. So as we said before, we're coming to you live from Studio Records in Broken Arrow. And Amy was mentioning a little bit about her influences and how they differ from Austin. And I just kind of wanted to ask you guys a little bit more about your influences. And since we're at a record store, we were actually downstairs and picked up a couple records. So who wants to go first, telling our audience about some of your influences and maybe talk a little bit about these records you grabbed from?
I'll go first.
All
I'll
right.
be quicker. So this first record, y'all, that's old Willie with no ponytail and no beard. I grew up on this. Mom played this all the time, and we two-stepped in the living room to that. So that was Willie's always been an influence on my songwriting. And then we got the Eagles, because they're the Eagles. And these were just two of many in the stacks of records that my hippie mother had collected over the years. Everything from Patsy Cline to Styx to, it was a plethora. And so country, she listened to a lot of country. So I grew up on 80s and 90s country being played in the car and trips to the lake and stuff like that. So.
Did you guys listen to records like you and your mom when you were younger?
Oh yeah, constantly. Yeah, and then CDs, when they became affordable.
Yeah. Right. Awesome. Yeah, those are classics. I don't know if you're going to pick them up. If not, they're going to be for sale downstairs.
These are for sale.
Depends on if Austin buys them or not, right?
We're
Hey,
taking
this
the
is a
Willie home.
25th anniversary right here. This right here is a 25th anniversary, and it's only $45. So you can't miss out. If nobody buys this, I might just take it.
Brand new, sealed. But it sounds like Willie's going home. Is that
Willie's
right?
going home, yeah.
Willie is mine. So
Yeah, he does look real different with his no beard.
yeah.
He's just a
Yeah.
young man. Willie was a young man.
He was
He
once.
started. He tried to fit the motif of what Nashville and the music industry was wanting at the time.
Yeah.
you know, suit and tie or turtleneck and slick hair, and they didn't last long.
I feel like Willie Nelson's looked exactly the same since like Live Aid in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like that Willie Nelson with this like the red, white, and blue
Yeah.
guitar strap or
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Like I don't think he looks any different now, but apparently he
And I
used to be
almost
young.
grabbed that record downstairs to bring up, but then I saw this one, and it just brought back all the memories of two-step. And Grandma did it too. She would break out the old records and two-step with the grandchildren.
So from a musical family.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, awesome. So Amy, your influences differ from Austin. You established that earlier, but what are some of your influences? What records did you grab?
Well, on the top here, I've got Peter, Paul, and Mary, Moving. Where? I don't know where. Over here?
Oh, there.
There's a few cameras here.
This is my mother's doing, the Peter, Paul, and Mary. This one actually has Puff the Magic Dragon on it.
Yeah.
And then not necessarily this album, but the Carpenters. My mother had the Carpenters album called Now and Then. We had one of those big honking stereos and these headphones. They were huge and they weighed a ton. And I would spend hours sitting in the floor in front of that turntable listening to my mom's album, Simon and Garfunkel. And this is like one of the quintessential Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. It's one really important album. So those were the kind of things that I would listen to as a small child. And then I'd go over to my grandmother's house and she had big band on her turntable. And so we'd, dance around to the big band at grandma's house. And then I'd go isolate myself and listen to these. I wanted more than anything to sing like Karen Carpenter. So she's the reason that I wound up being a singer. And all of these artists are really deep into harmonies and whatnot. And that was a big deal for me. And then I guess the last one I have here is Bruce Hornsby and the Range. I love this album. It's got the song Mandolin Rain on it, which I absolutely adore. I am a solid Gen X child of the 80s. And so 80s music like that. Billy Joel was a massive influence on me, actually. And my mother probably should not have let me listen to him. Songs like My Life and Only the Good Die Young got my brain turning and kind of had me rebelling against my very conservative Christian upbringing. And those songs got under my skin. And so I took a very different path than my family had hoped or expected. And I do somewhat blame Billy Joel.
Wow. Did you play any instruments when you were younger?
I did. I played the flute. I did not want to play the flute, but I wanted to play music. And I wanted a saxophone. But my mother really encouraged me to play the flute. And so I played the flute from the 5th grade up until about my 2nd year of college. And
Billy Joel didn't get you wanting to play piano?
I did. Mother was afraid that I would not take to it. We did not have a piano in the house, and she had no intention of buying one. But piano and saxophone were the instruments that I wanted to take up.
Piano's definitely an investment.
I have
You
one
just
now.
gotta do you play?
I played. I can use it to write songs on. I would never play publicly. I got good enough to pass my juries at college to get my music degree, and that was it. It was it's a difficult instrument. You kind of have to be wired for it, I think.
Do you have any songs that you sing that you feel like you're channeling your inner Karen Carpenter?
That's a great question.
That is a really great question.
I'm a great fan.
That's
I appreciate
that
your
was
support.
good.
I need it.
Out of our songs, I try to infuse that into places. One of the things that I'm trying to do, actually, as we go through our little musical renaissance here, is I'm wanting to dig deeper into my lower range, and those places where I kind of have that smoothness that she had, that I've worked really hard to try and emulate. but I don't know that there's a particular song. Babe, I'm leaving. Maybe I'm kind of down there a little, but
Yeah.
no, not necessarily.
Well, same question to you because I didn't think of it whenever you were talking earlier. But did you play any instruments growing up?
My pops put a guitar in my hands when I was 13, and he said, "Here's a G chord, here's a C chord, here's a D chord. You can play just about any country or pop or rock music that you want. Have fun." And I spent about the next 3 solid summers in my room just plunking and nope, that doesn't sound like nothing. Oh, well, hey, that sounds like something. And I learned probably 14 chords before I ever knew the names of what they were, you know. And I've pretty much just been a rhythm guitar player. And I wanted to have something to be able to write and sing to because I was constantly singing. I was annoying all my friends and family. Every car ride, I was singing along with the radio everywhere. So,
Who were some of your influences for your vocal work?
oh goodness, that's a good question. Golly, I can't really pinpoint one particular because when I tell you that I grew up on everything, it was a little bit of everything constantly. And so there was a lot of things that I really liked, but it was maybe I was just hit with so much of an umbrella of different things that I really didn't zero in on one. But I love to sing with everything.
Yeah.
When I
Did
was
you
growing
play
up.
your guitar like along with the music you were listening to? Or mainly
I spent a lot of time those first 3 summers with my little clock radio, and yes, I would try to figure out how they wrote their songs structurally. So, okay, this part it's just the instruments at the beginning, so that's got to be the intro, you know. And I'd work through, and then once I kind of could pinpoint what I was listening to, then I used that to help structure my own songwriting. So,
do you ever have the opportunity like to connect those dots? Like, is there anything kind of like the question I asked Amy? Is there anything that you play now that you can tie influences back to when you were younger?
Probably "Sweet Sally Died" is the name of a song that we do. So I had written this song quite a while back. I took a vacation to Vegas to visit some friends. And while I was there, I made them take me to the Strip because I wanted to see the Strip. Now, people that live in Vegas, they don't go to the Strip. That's the last place they want to go. But they were my good friends, so they took me. And I could hear live music off in the distance. So I was like, hey, I got to go see what all the hip musicians are playing in Vegas, you know. Got closer and closer, and Mustang Sally. And I'm like, just completely deflated. I'm like, this is Vegas. Like, I was really hoping for something that I don't hear in Tulsa any night of the week, you know.
So it was just like a cover band?
Yeah.
It wasn't the Killers out there in Vegas.
No, no. So
Or a local original band. It
Yeah.
was somebody doing Mustang Sally.
So I decided when I got home from Vegas that I was going to write a murder ballad about Mustang Sally.
Yeah.
So "Sweet Sally Died" came from
You
that.
killed Mustang
So-
Sally.
We did.
Yeah. Yeah,
Break-
but I
break
mean
it here,
that
folks.
that kind of style of the way that song is, it's more of a, what would you say? It's kind of almost rockabilly,
A little bit.
little rockabilly. My pops listened to a bunch of that. That
Like Sun
kinda-
Records.
yeah, yeah. So that, I don't know, that kind of relates to it, I guess.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
Yeah, that's great. So any other influences or any things that you guys tie back to maybe your childhood, to some of your songwriting now, or some of the songs?
Jackson Brown was a big influence. And it was always, I wanted to write like him, but I'm not there. But,
Like the lyrics,
oh yeah, yeah, the lyricism for sure.
Not necessarily the like the vocals or
Right,
guitar.
right. It was totally more the songwriting
Right.
for him.
And-
I mean, I loved his music. No, I still do. Don't get me wrong, but yeah.
Where Austin was already a songwriter when we met, I was not. I had co-written a couple of songs with a couple of bands in college, and they were terrible. but I wasn't a songwriter. I was a singer and a theater performer. I all through high school and college, I did musical theater and I did marching band. And I started out getting my degree in musical theater. So that was really my bag was acting and singing and dancing. And I longed to be a songwriter.
She still doesn't know what to do with her hands behind the mic.
There was still a lot of, I guess there was a
Get
lot
her
of
saxophone.
I guess there was a lot of fear there, not knowing how to get started, not knowing what to do, not having an instrument that I could play and sing with because I had a flute. And so that was a real hindrance. I had to have someone to help me write a song. And so when Austin and I started working together, and he already knows how to write songs, so I learned so much from him initially. So that's been really amazing for me. But also those. I played and sang a lot of jazz and a lot of Broadway, and that managed to seep its way into our writing. I think probably Take a Drive.
Oh,
Take a Drive is
for
a
sure.
really good example of where I slipped that kind of thing in.
It definitely has the
I
jazz.
was gonna
hands
ask, do
song.
jazz hands appear
Yes,
on stage?
yeah,
They
for that
could,
song,
they
just
could.
kill
What
it.
to do with their hands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always jazz hands.
Yeah. No, I do. I get behind the mic and I have ADHD hand problems, so it's it's here or it's I don't know. Yeah. And I don't do well talking on the mic in between songs, believe it or not. I can sit here and talk all your faces off all day long,
No banter.
but no banter behind the mic. I don't know why. I get up there and all of a sudden I'm like, thanks for coming out. Tip
Right.
your bartenders and waitresses.
Right.
Hope you like the next song. That's all I got, man. It's terrible.
Well, you guys have been great guests today. Thank you so much and then there were two to come out to our podcast, our first remote podcast, our first live podcast. I hope you've all enjoyed it.
You've been a
I
great
do-
host, by the way, and thank you for
Thank
being such a great
You
host.
need to just follow me around and
All
give me
right.
compliments all the time because I live off of them apparently.
I'll send you every morning message.
Thanks. Well, sometimes I like to ask a couple questions right before the end. So I'm just going to ask you guys two more questions. You can both answer both. You can pick one and answer one, but this will just kind of be the close here of this part of our segment. And then for those of you that are able to come out to Studio Records, they'll be downstairs at 4. And for all of you live people, we're listening to us live on Marshall Rock Internet Radio or any of our streaming services. They're going to actually, right when we're done here, they're actually going to record the song that you heard earlier. So here's the last questions. What did you listen to on the drive over today? I imagine you guys drove together. So I ask that usually when there's multiple band members, and I can kind of get a little bit about some of their like more current influences. Like it's interesting to me what people that play live music are currently listening to, because I always wonder if it seeps in your influences or whatever.
I'd be so disappointed.
No, it's okay. There's no wrong answer. And then the other one is, have you ever had a religious experience with music? Like did music take you to another place? So Austin, do you want to answer one or both of those? And then maybe you can
Music
close
takes
us
me
out.
to another place almost every time I listen to it, play it, any part of it. It's always been an escape for me. That's what got me kind of into wanting to perform. Yeah.
More
You wanna-
often than not, I think we wind up having those experiences when we are in a group of our peers, when we are
Yes.
in a collaborative effort, festival or something with our musical family. And those are when those moments happen.
Yeah.
You can feel it in the air.
Yeah.
It's great.
You can. There's a quote. I don't know if it's actually John Lennon or one of those quotes that gets attributed to people, but it said, I saw that it was John Lennon, but life is what happens while you listen to music.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel a lot is like, some of those times, like they soundtrack our life. when we
Yeah.
listen
The
to them.
soundtrack of your life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on the way here, we caught the tail end of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me on NPR. Because
always a
we're
classic.
old and we listen to
Yeah.
NPR. And then it shifted over into the news. Well, it shifted into a Nickelback song and I turned it down. And then
You
I
turned it up.
I checked it later and it was the news. And then I had to Google why does everybody hate Nickelback so badly?
Right.
Yeah, that was
Because
the
I
entire
really
drive
wasn't
over here.
sure.
So NPR to Nickelback, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
So when you say your influences are eclectic, you mean it. Wait, I don't mean to say that you're influenced by NPR and or Nickelback unless you want to claim it. All right, so one last chance. You guys want to shout out anything, any upcoming shows, any? I mean, we've shouted out several times. You're going to be playing live downstairs here in a little bit, but what do the listeners need to know?
Well, we've got some things in the works. We're kind of in that in between phase period where we're about to take some of this new music and get some videos and recording done. So we've kind of kept our schedule back so we could focus on that. Well, I mean, every night when I get home from work, it's sit down at the kitchen table with all the writing books and write till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So
yeah.
We're trying to gather all those, all our little pieces to make
you're in it.
To present our whole
music now. Yeah.
I'll be booking some things again in March, but we really want to give ourselves the time and space to write a few more songs, get what we have polished up. Like you said, get some things recorded, get some new photos, and just kind of relaunch ourselves after kind of a long break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm so glad you guys came out and that you shared that with us. It's probably good for other bands or maybe people that just like music to just know that writer's block's a thing, and just like anything else in your life, you get over it, right? You got to stick with it. You got to push through.
Yeah.
Put your nose to the grindstone.
That's right. I mean, you guys said it. We're gonna hear it, or they already heard it.
Yeah.
So, any last shout outs before we end?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, I want to shout out Blue Couch Studios. I've been shouting out things throughout the day, and they can help with any kind of podcast, any recording. I mean, the things you guys are talking about, the things you guys are doing right now, that's what the Blue Couch Studio does. And thank everybody for listening. Thank you, you guys. And then there were two.
It's been a great experience.
Joining our podcast, our first live podcast, our first mobile podcast. Thank you one last time for Studio Records, Broken Arrow, and one last time for those that were listening, Marshall Rock Internet Radio. Thank you for listening. And we're going to be downstairs 4 o'clock. So I guess this live feed will probably end so that we can record the song as we've been talking about. And then 4 o'clock though, in person. If you're anywhere near Broken Arrow, come to downtown Broken Arrow Studio Records. You'll see the band. And
what's that address again? 111 East Commercial Street.
Well, that's perfect. I got a great memory. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you all for watching.